It is another top 10 edition on the Hitting the Turnbuckle podcast. One of my favorite sub series that we do. There's plenty that we do now. And we've also got an announcement on a new show, another new show that we'll be doing. We'll let my co host do that at the end of the show. But first things first, I'll reintroduce my co host like he needs any introduction. You'll see him on the socials as Jolly the Bear. It is Mr. Michael Jolly. How are you doing, my man?
I'm doing good, thank you. Yourself?
Nice. Apart from it, at time of recording, apart from it being a Monday, it's good.
Yeah,
We agree on that, right? We agree on
yes,
that.
very.
Must admit though, with the first top 10 that we done was a little while ago now, but it was we had quite an even pick there. There was no sort of like outrageously outlandish ones, which brings me to the fact that I do have a bit of paper here, which you can't see, but it's got David's top 10. He wanted to get involved as a big
Right.
WCW fan. And obviously that we'll get into the Cruiserweight Championship in a minute, but David has given us his list, which is well, I think I said to you on the socials, it was probably the most original list that I've ever seen David do. So we'll keep you guys hanging for a bit longer. But Michael, you've got a bit of information about the Cruiserweight Championship that we're going to be getting into.
Yeah, so if you weren't aware, it was created in March of '96 by WCW, and it was actually won in a tournament featured on a New Japan show,
Wow.
which was really interesting. At that point, WCW and New Japan were working quite close together.
Mm.
So, as I said, its conception was back in '96 until '97. Sorry, until 2007. And then it's returned back in 2016 and stopped back in 2022. That covers WCW, WWF, WWE, and NXT. So from the start to the end, it's carried on its lineage across, if you want to call it, four different companies. There have been over 50 champions across that board. Now,
Wow.
some have been recognised by WWE and some haven't. So I think they've posted it's around about 56, but they recognise 54 of them, and that's different people that have won it. So it was quite interesting to look into this because, as I said, certain people have won the belts, but because WWE don't recognise certain wins or days, certain days don't actually line up. So some people might have actually won it for 54, they actually recognise it for 52. So really interesting to look back onto this one. Yeah,
I love the cruiserweights, and I was a big as listen. I was always a WWE fan, but every time I could get Nitro, or once Nitro was a part of the UK television, I would always make sure that I watched the cruiserweight matches. I found them really exciting. It's the one title that I know wrestling is blessed now with about 4 billion titles, but that's the one championship that I wish that the WWE would bring back. I know X divisions in TNA, AEW have got a load of titles, but I really do miss this championship because it's just an excitement. What I liked about it is it brought excitement, exciting lucha libre. Yeah, okay, you get that a lot in AEW now with the high flying spots in a lot of matches, but I liked it because it was something different on a card full of big, jacked, made like Greek gods, and then you had the
yeah,
cruiserweights, which brought the fun element to it.
yeah. I mean, being a wrestling fan, as you said, we grew up in the UK.
Mm.
We grew up watching World of Sport,
Mhm.
which was more art than wrestling, with the likes of Big Daddy, Giant Air Stacks. But being a person that grew up in the 80s and having the privilege to get Sky Sports very early on
Mm.
in the 90s, um, that was my introduction to American wrestling. Um, the cruiserweight division in WCW was the one that made me choose to watch them more than WWF. Um, it was just, as I said, as you were saying, I was just mesmerized with how fast these people were
Mm.
working, how safe they were, and they also introduced me into um, Mexican wrestling, like as you said, luchador, and things, and as WCW have always said, that is what they built their um, company on in the 90s. Yes, you would have the big stars like Hollywood Hulk Hogan and Ric Flair, but the cruiserweights were the bread and butter of the company because they were the ones that would rile up the crowd, would get everyone ready for the main event. There was
Yeah.
never a point. I don't think I ever remember watching one where I was ever bored or the crowd atmosphere had deflated just because they were able to capture everyone's attention. You didn't want to not watch. You couldn't turn away because you would miss something. Like as we see in the likes of the Young Bucks on
Yeah.
AEW, or like as we now have with Penta, Rey Mysterio at the time when he was a little bit younger, and even 205 Live at a point. But I just thought that this was amazing to watch, and especially someone who was in my teens who was getting into this. This is what drew me to watch WCW more than WWF. Yeah.
Yeah, it was a brilliant division. Right, so top 10 list time. Now these lists are always great, and the best thing about these lists is they are our personal opinions. You can agree, you can disagree, it doesn't matter. Before you go, Michael, I'm going to give you David's number 10.
Okay.
Now, David hasn't given me much of a write-up, but he has given me a list, which is
Okay.
in some days him just doing the list is bad enough. But in this case, it's pretty original. He's number 10. I really liked him in WCW. He didn't quite happen for him in WWE, but he was most memorable. I think he had a to do with The Rock at one point, and that was the
Okay.
Juice Juventud Guerrera.
Right. Okay.
That was David's 10.
Right. So before I go into my top 10, I'd
Mhm.
like to just give a few honorable mentions. So,
Yep.
because this was a very hard list to do
Yes.
because there are so many fantastic wrestlers that should
Yeah.
be in this, and I
Yeah.
struggled to cut it down. And you'll be surprised with my number one as well.
Oh no.
So I want to give a shout out. So I want to give a shout out to the original person who won the belt.
Yep.
He, we can't have him not on a list without recognizing the first person to ever hold the championship. And I do apologize for the butchering of this name. Shinjiro Otani. He's the first person, as I said, to win the belt after defeating Wild Pegasus in the finals of a tournament to be crowned the inaugural WCW Cruiserweight Champion on a New Japan Pro Wrestling event. And as I said, like we did on our other list, anyone who, even if it's not your number one, they have to at least be honoured because the company had so much trust in them that they were going to put the belt on them. My
Mhm.
second one is TJ Perkins.
Yeah.
He was the winner of a 32-man tournament.
Yeah.
Who won the trophy when the cruiserweight belt came back. However, before the finals actually finished, it was announced that they were going to make the belt, and he was crowned again, as I said, the first ever in the generation then of the new cruiserweight champion, and handed the belt by Triple H. And then, lastly, on my honourable mention, is someone that I used to love watching growing up, and that's Ultimo Dragon.
Oh,
Um,
brilliant.
he won his first championship in '96 at Starrcade, going on to win the title one more before having a retire in '98. Um, it's it's hard to say if Ultimo Dragon would have had a better career going forward, but he had a surgery on his arm that got botched,
Mm.
which ultimately withdrew him from the wrestling scene. He would then come into WWF at the time, um, and do a little bit, but he never actually did anything. And it's a shame because his talent and what he is and what he was incredible. So my top 10, my number 10 is Billy Kidman.
Ah.
Billy Kidman would win his first Cruiserweight Championship on the September 14th of 98 episode of Nitro, going on to win the three times before WCW closed its doors. Combined with his WWE runs, he had the second most run with the belt at 7 titles. He was incredible to watch, part of the flock.
Yes.
He was one of the first people to ever show the shooting star press on national TV, which was just an incredible thing to see. Obviously, now it's like the super kick is part of everyone's repertoire.
Yeah. Yeah.
The shooting star press wasn't, and there were obviously we have had it in times where people have got hurt because of landing
Yeah.
badly. But Billy Kidman was one of these, for me, was one of these standouts for the flock. And when he became the cruiserweight champion, he just ran with it. And I just thought, especially during that period of time, during the late '90s, he was incredible. What about your number 10?
Just to add on that, Kidman is on my list, a bit higher up. He's very high up on Dave's list. So I just want to do Dave's honourable mentions before I do mine. And that's like side Wild Pegasus, Chris Benoit. For
Yes,
anyone that's,
yes.
we will mention Chris Benoit because we're not talking about what he done outside of the ring. We talk about
but his wrestling career, you can't
yes,
knock. Yeah,
exactly that. So Dave's honourable mentions, which is quite surprising because one of them's on my list. La Parka, for those of you that there is a La Parka still, but it's not the La Parka.
Yes, yes. It's like it's like Black Mask, isn't it?
Yeah. Yes, it certainly is. But
or is it Tiger Mask or something like that from Japan? Yeah,
something like that. But yeah, he was on his There's loads of ways you can pronounce it. I pronounce it psychosis, but I have heard it psychosis as well in WCW. I've heard that, and ECW as well. I think they were in. And Neville was on his honourable mention. Didn't make his top 10, which was a bit surprising.
Okay, all right.
Yeah,
okay.
I know, Dave.
I'm intrigued now for his others. I'm intrigued now for his list.
Well, I did tell you that this guy, he's Mr. Controversial for a reason when it comes to lists. But anyway, you mentioned my 10. Now, speaking of controversial, this could be controversial depending on the way people look. Because I'm going to one of the very last cruiserweight champions for my top 10, and this guy, he got himself into a little bit of trouble, shall we say. So his run may have lasted longer, really, if all things are well. When he done this, I mean, I think he had 2 reigns over about 4 months, I believe. He beat Neville, funnily enough, the first time.
Oh, okay.
You know where I'm going now, right? In 2017, I think he lost it to Kalisto, was he? But he on the microphone. I would love him on the microphone of like an MJF nowadays because you're dancing because you know who I'm going for. I don't think anyone could beat him. He also, I think, brought at the time because he was kind of punished to go down to 205 at the time. So I think he brought that main roster sort of pizzazz to 205 with a lot of heat as well. He did play the cowardly heel. I always class it as the old school bully. He was all mouth until you stood up to him and then he'd run away. That man, his name was Enzo Amore, and he is a certified G and a bona fide stud. And you still can't teach that, but he's my number 10.
Do you know what? That's everything that you've just said there is spot on. He played. I really did not think they were going to do anything when they split up him and Big Cass. And at that period of time, being dropped down to 205 Live or NXT felt like a demotion. Sometimes it still does to this day. He did what he could with it. And unfortunately, it wasn't a lot because a lot of people were against it. It was well known out in the world that a lot of people were against it, but he did what he could with what he had, and that's actually a good shout. He isn't in my top 10, but that's a good shout. I like that.
Chicken salad out of chicken shit.
Yeah, absolutely.
It might be, but we move from 10 to 9. Michael, go ahead.
My one is Juventud Guerrera.
Oh, yes.
So he first won he first won the championship in '98 on an episode of Thunder, going on to hold the title for 3 more times before, unfortunately, being fired in October of 2000. Guerrero's first run would only last 1 week. a way to transition from Ultimate Guerrero to Rey Mysterio. He would then go on to have 2 more runs in '98 before becoming a mainstay in the division, but never got another run after that. Guerrero is one of those guys who helped solidify the cruiserweight division as a place to be. His 450 splash was a thing of beauty. The UV driver
Yes.
was one of those moves that was so unique and devastatingly looking for the time, a bit like how Mark Davis's pendulum pile driver is.
Yeah.
It was just beautiful. Um, I remember, again, very pushed to the front of the cruiserweight division for WCW. Um, he was fantastic with the mask, without the mask. Unfortunately, I think they destroyed him when they did the whole stereotyping thing with Super Crazy and that when he went to WWF as the Mexicals. Um, I just, I just thought this gentleman. My apologies. Well, he is a gentleman. I just thought this guy was just incredible, and he's still wrestling on the wrestling scene at the moment.
Yeah.
He's wrestled for a few indie shows in America, and he's still about, and he's still doing the moves that he would normally you wouldn't see him do now. And I think he's like in his late 50s, early 60s. I could be completely wrong with that, but I know he's in his late 50s. But I just thought this guy was incredible to watch. Like everyone else on this list was, yeah. I just have so much praise for Juventud.
He's very, very good. He's on my list as well, which is on all three of our lists, just in different positions, which is really, really good. David's number nine is Chavo Guerrero. So he's
He
a.
didn't even make my top 10.
Did he make mine? He did. He's higher up my list. Is
Oh, I
Chavo.
feel bad now.
No, 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 no. Don't worry. I mean, obviously, I can't give you David's reason, so he's just told me that Chavo was his nine. But yeah, I'll move on. My nine is Neville, or Pac, as he's known
Okay.
nowadays. Another one from the older era, the most recent era, should we say, of the cruiserweight. I think he beat Rich Swann, if memory serves me right, and he
Yeah.
lost it to Akira Tozawa, of
Yeah.
all people, if I remember. I just think, like, when you look at 205 Live, if you had to said if someone said to you 205 Live, what was the first few names you would reel off? And Neville was one of those names. And I mean, forgive me, I can't remember the name of his finish, but it was an absolute thing to see. I've got it on video somewhere on my Facebook page. I've actually got him doing it. It's like a corkscrew finish. That I wouldn't say it was like anyway. It was just an amazing. But
It was well. He changed it when he went onto the indie scene. He changed it to the Black Arrow
the Black Arrow. Thank you.
when he went
Yes.
onto the indie scene. Yeah,
Yeah.
I can't remember what they actually called it in WWE, but it was the Black Arrow on the indie scene
It really, really was, and it was fantastic. I loved it. I thought he was really exciting. He brought that. Nowadays, he's really bulked up a little bit, and he's more, he carries a bit more weight about him nowadays in AEW. It seems to be the thing at the moment. The wrestlers bulking, but for me, he was so exciting to watch, and just for that move alone, I'm pretty sure. I don't know. I know Randy Orton done the. I know he done the Evan Bourne one into the RKO. I'm not ever sure if he
Yeah.
done the Neville
Um,
move
I'm
to the
not sure.
RKO,
No, I don't think it.
or,
It
or
was
whether
the
Chris Jericho may
it
have
was the Red
coded it.
Arrow.
Red
It was
Arrow,
the Red
thank you.
Arrow. It was just simply just changing the name.
Just changing the name, but Neville for me, awesome, absolutely. I really loved him as cruiserweight champion, and I thought he was definitely on the list for me. But we move on.
Well, mine.
Eight.
Well, you'll hear about him later on for me. Like he's a little bit higher up for me.
Yes,
Number 8 is Matt Hardy.
yes,
So, a little bit of history regarding him. He won the title in a very, very good singles match against Billy Kidman at No Way Out 2003 and went
yeah,
on to hold it for an incredible 100 days.
yeah,
Now, this is during the period of time when he was version 1 Matt Hardy
yeah,
and he had Shannon Moore with him.
yes,
Um, we obviously he would do his character so much in regards making people love him or hate him. And then he had that infamous match with Scott Steiner at Survivor Series,
yeah.
which obviously wasn't for the Cruiserweight Championship. But
No,
Kidman would prove to be one of his more exciting rivals. It was something to give him a little bit more refresh, a bit of a reinvention, a bit like how Jericho does. Um, and he he was had some really fantastic matches with Kidman on the SmackDown brand at the time. He had, yeah, as I said, I just during that period, I mean, beforehand he was fantastic. Afterwards, depending on how you felt about him, same with, as I said, regarding like with Jericho, you could go sour on him. But during this period of time, I just thought Matt Hardy was someone who was captivating because of the character development he did, especially when he walked out. It's stuff like Matt Hardy doesn't like mustard, or just silly stuff like that. And it was just
Yeah.
that was so different to anything else, and people would purely watch that little bit to see what he's adding next. But going back, but that doesn't take anything away from his cruiserweight title run. As I said, 100 days, and it was mainly with Billy Kidman, but they made that championship and their matches feel so much better than it should have been, especially during the period of time of TV that WWE were producing it, because there was a lot of badness and a lot of good. But I just thought Matt Hardy did, as you said regarding the Enzo thing, he made the best out of what he could, and he was able to put shining light on them both to elevate that title.
He did. He did indeed. He is on David's list a little bit higher up. Doesn't make mine. So there we go. So we're talking a controversial there. He doesn't make my list. David's number 8. When you're talking technical brilliance, um, the man of 1,000 holds. Although Chris Jericho may slightly have a few more than that if you watch the Nitro that time.
Yes.
But Dean Malenko, the Iceman himself, Dave has a number 8. I'm sure he may well be on both of our other lists. I'm not sure. He is on mine. He's a bit higher up my
Yeah.
list. He may be higher up your list. So we'll talk about him more in a bit. So David's number 10 was Juventud Guerrera. I believe your number 9 was
Yeah.
Juventud Guerrera. Juventud Guerrera is my number 8. So he's been on the list 3 times already. I can't really add much really to what you guys, or mainly what you said there, Michael. I mean, everything about him was great. I think the mask coming off, it always damages wrestlers, isn't it? And I feel a little bit like it did. Not as much as maybe a Kane as such, although Kane did reinvent himself very, very well and went on to have a great career. But yeah, Hoovy for me, I mean, he beat Chris Jericho. You are right, he did lose to Billy Kidman at some point in this, but he just brought another level of excitement to what was an exciting division already, in my opinion. But Hoovy is my 8, so he's the highest rated Hoovy in the list, in our lists. So we move on quite quickly. Number 7, Michael.
He he had a few different names. He had the spot which was infamous in the Royal Rumble, where he tried to choke slam The Rock. That is Hurricane Helms.
Yes.
So originally, under the guise of Shane Helms, he won the championship at the 2001 Greed Show. He was the last WCW Cruiserweight Champion before WCW closed its doors.
Yep.
If you include his WWF WWE stroke or WWF runs, he's had 3 runs and has the longest combination of days as a champion with an impressive 532. Gregory Helms' second reign was built on thrilling matches. He would hold the title over a year until Chavo Guerrero finally snatched it from him. This was in 2007. Aside from taking on challengers like Super Crazy, Helms fought in the champion versus champion bouts against Rey Mysterio and Bobby Lashley. He's still in the business now as a backstage producer. He still brings it out every so often when they do the retro or revival of bringing out the older names for Royal Rumble. And I just loved Shane Helms transitioning from what he was in WCW to Hurricane, and just being almost I'm not saying it is because I don't want to get stick for it, but almost like a if you think Danhausen
Yeah,
years ago,
yeah.
he played the gimmick really, really well. Did Shane Helms, and he worked with it, and it worked. The crowd were firmly behind it. He was firmly into it. He was heavily into that character,
Mm.
and I just thought he was a very, very good person, especially in the WWE, WWF um, side of the titles, um, to hold it as aloft and personified what it meant to be a cruiserweight champion.
Yeah, and to give you that, he's on both of our lists as well. So he's up there, bit higher, well, higher, but higher up my list and higher than my list, the Dave's list. So he's very highly rated. Is Helms. We'll get into a bit more in with Gregory Helms in a bit, but Dave's number 7. The Japanese buzzsaw Tajiri is on Dave's list. He may, but I was having a look. I don't think he's on mine, but yeah, we'll talk more about he's on yours. So that gives us more of a chance to talk about Tajiri a bit later on. So we will. Um, my number 7 is Billy Kidman. Again, I think so. I think we've mentioned Kidman a few
Yeah,
times now. Um, he was a great. I think he was such a great asset to WCW and WWE, and I think like probably really underrated in both. I mean, you mentioned the flock there in WCW with Raven and co. Did he have that? Was his move called the 7 year itch? Was it the seven
yeah,
year itch? It was. Yeah,
yeah.
it was in
Because he
WCW.
used to come to the ring and just be doing this all the time,
Yeah, that was it. I remember that.
which was where it played from that. And that, yeah,
Yeah, it was that. And then he went to WWE. And again, he was very underrated. SmackDown was the brand for the cruiserweights, and he certainly delivered on that brand. I will also say had an underrated banger of a theme in WWE. When I mention it on other interviews, wrestlers are like, yeah, of course. Like, I forgot about it. But yeah, Kidman for me, I don't think there's any more I can really say about Kidman than what has not already been said. Right. 6, Michael. Who's your 6?
someone that's already been mentioned. Number 6 is Dean Malenko for me.
Oh, yes.
So, as you said, he hasn't. Our other colleague hasn't put anything down, so I will
Oh,
give a little bit of it.
yes.
So, he would win his first cruiserweight championship in '96 on an episode of Worldwide for WCW, going on to hold the title 4 more times before leaving WCW. His feud with Jericho helped put Jericho over as a heel, while also helping to showcase Malenko, and provided Malenko was just a fantastic technical wrestler, and was a great contrast to the high flyers of the cruiserweight division. As we've already mentioned, which we will probably mention later, his
Yes.
feud with Jericho was just beautiful to watch.
Mhm.
The promos, the matches, everything, the way that Dean Malenko wrestled was something I'd never seen before. And as I've already said, the way that it contrasted with the high flying, and then you've got the technical style, like the Bret Hart type of thing. It was just, yeah, he's one of my all time favorite wrestlers to watch, and also, in my opinion, one of my all time wrestlers in general. So,
Very, very good. Dave's number 6, we have already spoken about, was Matt Hardy. So Matt's made the list again. My number 6, again, I think we're all kind of got in the same boat, really, just in different positions. Shane Helms or Gregory Helms was my 6. I feel like I can't really go on more on what you're saying, really. He was just another one that really found his shell in WWE. And you mentioned the Hurricane gimmick, which was always fun to see and would always make you smile. But there was that serious side to him as Gregory Helms. And again, another little underrated banger there in a theme song, not so much talked about massively enough, but as you said, longest WWE cruiserweight reign as well, and someone that solidified the cruiserweight. Again, if you said a cruiserweight champion in WWE, there'd be maybe be a couple of names ahead of him, but you would definitely put Shane Helms, Gregory Helms in that conversation. So
yeah,
6 for me for Gregory. Halfway now, Michael, through the list. 5. Who is it?
Jamie Noble.
Wow, wow. He's not on any of our lists, so you got a lot of time here. Go right ahead.
What? Well, you've already brought up someone else that isn't on my list. So, okay, so Jamie Noble, who's currently a backstage
Yes.
producer. He was part of the authorities' security, and yeah, I just right. Okay, I'll just get into it because I just have so much praise for him. Um, Without the cruiserweight division, Jamie Noble would never have pretty much made it to WWE.
Hmm.
Uh, he is exactly the type of wrestler the division is designed to showcase. He was 5'7" and barely 200 pounds. Now the cruiserweight division, what if you aren't aware of this, had a limit. Matt Hardy, as we've talked about, had to trim down to become a cruiserweight,
Hmm.
whereas he Jamie Noble was barely 200 pounds. Noble wouldn't have been able to make the same impact by battling the company's bigger guys and the big bruisers. But as a cruiserweight champion, Noble was a dynamic spectacle, impressively quick and mesmerizing in the ring. Um, he would be on anybody's DVD collection of Greatest Cruiserweight
Yeah.
Champions, including his battles with Billy Kidman at Vengeance 2002. Go check that out.
Yes.
Tajiri at No Mercy 2002. Check that one out. And both Rey Mysterio and Tajiri on the episode from October 26, 2002 of WWE SmackDown. He is somebody, I mean, he had the duo with Nydia,
Yeah.
where she went blind and this, that, and the other. Obviously, during the
Yeah.
period of time, this was during the period of time where WWF, as we'll talk about in potentially other episodes going forward,
Yeah.
had no rivals. So they could produce anything they wanted, and you had to just take it. And I think that is what brought down Jamie Noble, because if they'd have just left him alone like they did with Billy Kidman
Yeah.
and Gregory Helms, I think he would have been even more synonymous as a cruiserweight champion than he was. But as I said, my number five, again, this was a very hard list to put, and I had to
Yeah.
try and think about people from WCW, WWE, and I think without actually spoiling my higher ones, he was just. I just can't say any more about Jamie Noble. He was just incredible.
Well, you took it away because no one else has got him on the list. So you gave a great account of Jamie Noble. Dave's number five surprised me because of how low he was down. I'm five is low for this guy, and I'm sure he's going to be on mine and yours, and I'm sure he's going to be higher. David's five was Chris Jericho.
What?
Yes. Chris Jericho was David's
Okay.
five. I'd love to have him on to explain, but obviously he's busy working, as I should be.
Get a voice. Get him. Send in a voice note.
Yeah, get him a voice. Jesus, we need to know. Anyway, I'll ask him in the group after. Was anyway, that was five for him. Five for me was on David's list as well. Was Chavo Guerrero. Was my five. He obviously look, he beat Rey Mysterio for the cruiserweight title. He lost it to multiple guys because he had multiple reigns as cruiserweight championship. But yeah, he was longevity across everything. Chavo was like, you go back to WCW, he was there. WWE, he was there. He was like, I know he was Dolph Ziggler's caddy for about 2 weeks before they realized it was
Shaman White.
slightly wrong. Yeah,
Yeah.
slightly wrong gimmick for him, and probably slightly wrong for WWE to do it. They was that, and then he was part of La Familia, and he went on. But the one thing that I'd always say with Chavo Guerrero was he was always that sort of go, a bit like Dolph Ziggler later on in life. He was the go-to guy. You got someone that needs to be put over like later on, obviously back end of his run WWE, but someone that needs to be put over that can guarantee a great match. Chavo Guerrero, and his cruiserweight title runs are great at the same time, and I very much enjoyed watching Chavo in the ring.
I mean, I Chavo, unfortunately, wasn't on my list. I'm not. That doesn't mean that I don't think he's good.
No,
Um, but as we all three of us have talked about before, this is our what we
yes,
feel is out not the best in the world. It's how what we grew up watching, what we felt personally connected to. I can't take anything away from Chavo. He was incredible to watch.
yeah,
He just didn't not click as in like I didn't get him. It was just that the full package of the character and everything like that. Um, just it just wasn't there for me. But as you've just said, I can't take anything. I can't um, add anything to what you've already said because you've just
Mm.
spoken very highly of him. But yeah, that's a really good pick. Is that? Yeah.
Yep, Chavo Guerrero at halfway. So now we're above halfway list. We're at four, Michael. Ooh,
So this one is he's still wrestling. He's already been mentioned, Tajiri.
Tajiri. Nice.
So he's the first man to hold. He was the first man to hold the WWE version of the cruiserweight title, and he wrestled the best of the division. Men like Hurricane, Rey Mysterio, Billy Kidman, Jamie Noble, um, all had fantastic matches with him. He was able to bring out the best of best of them, sorry, as well as himself. Um, his little skits that he did throughout the shows. Um, yes, they may have brought his character down, but I just thought the way that he presented himself, the green mist, just everything that was new to WWE from a Japanese wrestler, um, he was able to elevate and personify that character and make you want to watch him because of what he could do. He was different from everyone else, which
Yeah.
is so by standing out, people would watch him. If everyone is wrestling the same, why should you care? And he
Mhm.
made you care. And I thought, with the exception of the Tori Wilson's little bits, his wrestling style and his way of working in the ring was a delight to watch.
Yeah, absolutely. It certainly was indeed. David's number four. He's been mentioned. Helms, Shane Gregory Helms. So again, no arguments there. My four has already been mentioned as well. The man of a thousand holds, Dean Malenko. A technical masterpiece. He was we're looking at it now. I think like I would love to see now, like if we're looking at nowadays, I would love to see a triple threat between Prime Dean Malenko, Zack Sabre Jr., and
Yeah.
Connor Mills.
Oh, yeah, that's a nice one. Yeah,
That would
I
be
like that.
my dream technical triple threat match. I'd love to see those
If we were
three.
doing dream matches, yeah,
Yeah, if we were
yeah.
doing that, maybe listen, we've got a new show starting soon. I'm not putting words in your mouth,
I'll
Michael.
put
But
no.
yeah,
I'll make a note.
up there for thinking, down there for dancing, as they say. But yes, we will. So for me, Dean Malenko was just brilliant, and he's going to be high on my list, and he's in my top four. So
What can I just ask with the Dean Malenko? What did you think to the WWE doing the James Bond type of gimmick with him?
I thought it was just a waste, really. It's a difficult one because Dean Malenko wasn't a character, he was a wrestler. There's a
Yeah,
big difference. And, it was kind of a funny thing because you didn't imagine, like, I never ever forget the Jerry the King Lawler line. And it's always in my head. Every time someone mentions Dean Malenko, he said, Dean Malenko is the type of man that will come in at 3 a.m. in the morning, smelling of women's perfume with lipstick on his shirt, smack his wife on the ass and say, you're next. And that was just a lie. I
completely.
always
I've completely forgot that.
it pops me, and every time, and when we're doing this list, and I had Malenko, it just put me back into that raw. But no, in answer to your question, I don't mean the character worked. Dean Malenko wasn't a character wrestler; he was a wrestler. He would work in AEW nowadays, and he still really wouldn't work in WWE nowadays.
Yeah,
But if you heard of Shane Douglas's story, it's quite interesting. When the Radicals were when they went to WWE, he's actually
yeah,
on. He actually if you go on the special playlists. Not this is just a quick plug. Below you will see my two-parter with Shane, and he talks about it. And he said that he was going to go with him to WWE, and what happened was something happened. I'm not quite sure what happened backstage, but he got a call from Vince Russo, Shane Douglas, and said, "Your boys are in WWE. Your boys are at a hotel in Connecticut going to WWE." So he phoned the hotel, and he was asking about certain people. Benoit was one, Guerrero was another one, and then he asked if Malenko was there, and they said no, there was no mention of the name Dean Malenko at this hotel. And Shane thought, oh, because he's one of Shane was like Dean Malenko was his best like friend, so it was like a thing.
Yeah.
But then he said, "Is Perry Satula there?" Which was a name that Dean Malenko would go by to go into to make people because obviously if you're going to WWE,
As
the
a
last thing you want to do
as
is
a pseudonym, as an
so he had an
alternative, so people
alias.
won't know. Yeah.
Yeah. So he said, "Is Perry Satula there?" And he said, "Yep." So that's when
Oh.
Shane Douglas realized that these four guys had kind of kicked him away at the curbside, and
Oh.
wasn't he wasn't happy, obviously. But that was it. Apparently, he cut a big promo on him down the answer phone to Dean Malenko. But anyway, that's a long-winded version of Dean Malenko.
But as you said, if you want to find out the interview, go check it out. Yeah.
Yeah, special episode. I mean, I know there's a lot of interviews there. I know that, but find it if you want. Shane, that we do two episodes. We done an episode on ECW and we done one called Simply Franchise, which I believe that's the episode that you want to see if you want to hear that story in full. Top
Brilliant.
three, Michael.
Right. You ready?
Oh, I'm ready.
Eddie Guerrero.
Right, hold it right there. David's, Eddie Guerrero. Mine, Eddie Guerrero.
All for three.
Yeah. We're all got him at three. Go ahead, though.
Okay, so bit of backstory. Eddie Guerrero won his first championship at 97 Fall Brawl, going on to hold the title twice before leaving WCW. His runs as Cruiserweight Champion revolved around his first major feud with Rey Mysterio, the beginning of a long-standing run as both enemies and partners. Their incredible match at Halloween Havoc 97. You need to watch this. If you've never watched it, please, 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 if anything, go watch this match because Jesus Christ, this was incredible to watch, especially in 97. You think how cruiserweights are now, think that type of match that never happened before during a period of time where everyone was just watching the likes of Hulk Hogan, Giant, Lex Luger is just incredible. And as I said, it was just groundbreaking. And one that I often show people, again, as I said, if they're interested in wrestling, Eddie Guerrero would then move on to WWE, as we know, and did his own thing with China. I won't go into it because that is its own separate episode. But I just thought Eddie Guerrero, the way he was, the way he acted, his character, was just the start of what he would then become in WWE with Latino Heat. Again, just the whole character, his whole moving of the fact that everyone, you've got Mercedes Moné and you've got Dominic Mysterio, the fact you've got other people using his move, but not just using his move, but doing the mannerisms just to pay homage to somebody like that, just shows you how much of an impact Eddie was as part of this business and part of wrestling in general. And again, like Dean Malenko is one of my all-time favorite wrestlers. I don't think I've ever watched a bad match. He can have bad matches, but they aren't bad compared to others. It's still a good match, but it is a bad match compared to his best ones. But like you said, number three, and our other colleague David, number three, that's the reason why he's there.
Yeah, I mean, he beat Six or X Pac, if I remember correctly, for the first reign, or first of his reign. He lost to Chris Jericho. I think that was the part of it. But he had everything. He could tell you a story in a match. He could make you laugh telling the story, and then he could bring out some moves that are just ridiculously great. As you say, the triple suplexes, the frog splash with the shoulder shake. He could then pretend to get hit with a chair, throw the chair at you, fall down, get you DQ'd. He could love you and hate you in a course of a match. Could Eddie? And that's my number three.
There was also that the infamous WCW segment where he came out and he was just pouring coffee onto himself because he didn't feel that the company wasn't invested. So he was just like, well, if I'm not worth anything, I'll just put coffee on me. And I'm just thinking, what is this? And obviously at the time, during the 90s, we didn't have, obviously, we did have some dirt sheets, but we didn't have
Mm.
it social media like we have before.
No.
So quite a lot of the times, what you were watching, you just took as face value. So you thought, oh, this is real.
Yeah.
You didn't think it was storylined until, obviously, as I said, social media comes out, podcasts like ourselves come out and have chats with them. But at that time, you just took it face value and just like, what's going on here?
Mm.
But yeah, he was, yeah, as you said, just
God,
incredible person.
what a podcast that would have been.
Having Eddie Guerrero on.
Mate, that is, yeah, that would have been incredible. That having a podcast of Eddie. Anyway, we reminisce. Right, top two. Top two. Your two is who?
Neville.
Ah, okay. Cool.
So we've already brought him up.
Yep.
So the self-proclaimed king of the cruiserweights.
Mm.
After his incredible run on NXT, Neville debuted on the main roster back in 2015. Um, Unfortunately, he didn't get the success on Raw that he did in NXT, which
Hmm.
unfortunately, as we look even to now, a lot of people that progressed to the main roster haven't had the success that they did on NXT. It's NXT during this period of time, during the mid 10s, had its own bubble. It's
Yeah.
the black and gold brand.
Yeah.
Um, and he would have, unfortunately, would disappear from WWE programming in the fall of 2016. However, the man that gravity forgot re-emerged in December at Roadblock, end of the line, where he turned heel and attacked Rich Swann and
Yeah.
TJ Perkins. And he then defeated Swann at the Royal Rumble 2017 to become the new Cruiserweight Champion. Um, Neville's reign defined the title in its infancy, and he became the best villain, even with that awful cape. In his entire stretch there, he had some great feuds with Swan, Jack Gallagher, and Austin Aries. Um, and he also was one of the longest reigning and first two-time WWE Cruiserweight champions. Um, Frankly, he made the belt matter, and he did everything he could to drag the Cruiserweight division, which at the time was floundering,
Hmm.
out of obscurity before he left onto the indie scene back in 2017. Now, as an exclusive, unfortunately, I've got no video footage of this. I had the privilege of seeing a show round about 2019, maybe, no, a little bit, round about 1819, when Neville was the Dragon Gate champion. Um, he wrestled on a show back in Birmingham, and I had the privilege to meet him and ask him about his run there and then. And he openly said, I only had like literally 5 seconds with him,
Mm.
and I said, I loved your run in WWE and NXT. What were your thoughts? And he basically said to me, I wish I'd never left NXT.
There you go.
Um, but yeah, and he's a love. If you've never met him, Pac the Bastard. I'm not going to say it properly because I don't want to get demonetized. He's a lovely guy. So if you ever get the chance to do a meet and greet, get Neville or Pac to meet. He's a lovely guy. He's so humble. He doesn't forget where he's come from. He doesn't think he's not got an ego. He acts it on screen, but I have so much love for the guy because of how he was when I met him. So yeah,
Brilliant. He is awesome. David's two, Billy Kidman. I think we've said enough about Kidman. My second one was why I queried David's earlier. Why is this man so low at five on David's list? He is, of course, the Ayatollah of rock and roll, the man of God knows how many holds, the man that reinvents himself, has just reinvented himself again.
yep,
And this was at a time, really, when he probably wasn't happy with what he was doing on WCW television. We all, well, I think we've seen it. I mean, we said it enough times that he felt that he could be a megastar. He really honestly felt it. And he went on, and maybe this had WWE to do with as well, because at that time, WWE wasn't taking the biggest names in WCW, but what they were doing was taking the core of WCW, Benoit, Guerrero, Saturn, Malenko all followed suit. But this was one of the first jumpers over that made a massive difference. And I know we're talking about cruiserweight champions, and he wasn't well, it wasn't really in WWE. He was more of a heavyweight champion. But when you look at what he has done, and he's I mean, he's still wrestling now to a very high caliber, as we saw at time of recording last night at AEW Dynasty. Jericho, for me, he beat Rey Mysterio for his first. He lost it to Juventud Guerrero, but he did make that championship must watch because at the time you never knew what you were going to get out of the Ayatollah or the sexy beast or whatever he was at that point in time. But Chris Jericho for me is well, he's only lost out to one guy, which shows you why he's so far up my list.
Um, so yeah, the Lionheart as he was then.
Yes, Lionheart.
He he was as we talked about before. He was that bratty kid,
Yep.
and everyone tuned in to see him get his butt kicked,
Yeah.
and somehow didn't. He's run in Japan and then WCW just made him what he is. And yes, he has had a few periods of time where he's reinvented himself, and it's not gone very well recently. The AEW run where he then went away. People have also obviously talked about him coming back. Apparently, WWE were only going to bring him back if he was going to do a retirement tour. Now maybe that's down the line, but as you
Yeah.
said, as of recording, he's just had this incredible match for the first time for a year against Ricochet, and he hasn't lost a step.
Nope.
Absolutely, he's just an incredible wrestler. And as you said, it's just incredible to watch. No matter what he does, no matter what you think of him, you can't take away the fact that he deserves to be in everyone's list, and he's an incredible wrestler.
He is indeed. Right. We've gone through 10 to 2. It's not 10 to 2, it's 3:15. But we are our numero uno in lists. Michael, who is your greatest cruiserweight champion of all the times?
I've got a cop out. I've got a joint number one. We
Oh,
have
it's never
got
been done on this channel before.
we have got Chris Jericho
Yep.
and Rey Mysterio Jr.
David's number one, Rey Mysterio Jr. My number one, Rey Mysterio Jr. So Rayway is one.
Right. So I mean, what can I have got stuff to say, but what can you say that hasn't been said already? The guy is still wrestling in his 50s like he was in 97. Stem cell, everyone get it because clearly it's working.
People say to us we should get just for men, but we want stem cell surgery.
I'm in my 40s and I feel like I'm falling to bits. I need stem cell stuff because this guy can go. And the fact that, as we said recently, it's been announced on the previous Raw that he's going to be part of WrestleMania in a ladder match. The guy's got knackered knees. I mean, it's like someone who's got broken hands going into boxing. It shouldn't be done, but yeah, Rey Mysterio. Let's just get straight into it. Rey Mysterio won his first cruiserweight championship in '96 on an episode of Nitro, going on to hold it for a record-setting 5 times before WCW would close its doors. If you include the WWE version of the title, he still holds the record with 8 runs. For me, watching Rey Mysterio blew me away, as we've already talked about with the match against Eddie Guerrero at Halloween Havoc. He was new to me, especially when he was wearing Halloween Havoc, when he was wearing his the Phantom outfit, the all purple outfit, which threw me a little bit until I looked into it. He's crisp and smooth in the ring. He was pulling amazing acrobatic moves with amazing speed and intensity. You could believe that he might be able to pull an upset against big people, the likes of like Kevin Nash at the time. Yeah. And I'm not going to dwell into the losing the mask But which to me personally, I think that was like we talked about the Juventud Guerrera thing was a no-no because
Yeah,
historically Mexican wrestlers do not demask. There are people that are in their 80s that have never been seen in public without their mask. It is an honoured tradition, and it was something that everyone kicked off about, especially then because it was unseen and unheard of to do. Um, he was when you watched him, you just didn't know what was going to happen. You thought he was going to get his butt kicked, but
yeah.
then he'd come out with somewhere and hit a move, and then you'd go, "Wow, this guy's doing it." During his 3 reigns as the cruiserweight champion, um, Mysterio had a number of fantastic matches, including his clashes with um, Tajiri. Sorry, I meant the WWE side of it. Sorry, he had Tajiri, Matt Hardy, Jamie Noble, Chavo Guerrero, and Spike Dudley. Don't dismiss Spike Dudley. He was very good as a cruiserweight. Um, but ultimately, I can't say anything other than what you might add to it or anyone knows. Rey Mysterio was perfect. And then, as I said, as a cop out, it's got to be Chris Jericho for me. Jericho, as we've already talked about, won his belts beforehand, beat Rey Mysterio at Sold Out. He then turned heel after the brutal attack. That would kick off his run, putting Jericho on the map and radar of WWE. His matches against Malenko, his 101 holds, the infamous bit where he stood in the ring with his list,
Yeah.
armbar goes down, armbar. It just absolutely personifies the character of what he is, and which made me love him to bits. One last thing about Jericho, which I don't know if everyone would know. Obviously, people like us are a little bit older. We would do. People that delve into it may do. But if you're new to the cruiserweight scene and WCW, he had a bit of a beef with with Goldberg,
He did.
which he wanted to do, and Goldberg didn't want to play ball with him. So yeah, I just absolutely them two. I could not split them in any way, shape, or form because of what collectively they brought to the table as a cruiserweight champion.
Well, there you go, folks. Number one. Well, Michael's joint one. But I think we'll give it to Ray Ray. Jericho can be 1.1 just because every one of us put Rey Mysterio at 1 for an amazing career, which is still going on. A Hall of Fame career, which is still going on. Guys, if you've got your lists, pop them down below. Tell us, who do you think is the top 10 career? Have we missed any? Have we missed any obvious ones? Have we? Is there one that none of us have said? Tell us. Tell us. We'll look forward to hearing it from you. But we have obviously been very busy on this channel, and there's a lot of stuff that is coming up. Some of the stuff may have dropped by the time this comes out, so I'll be, Diona Perazzo is coming. She was tremendous, absolutely tremendous interview. It's only 20 minutes long, so it's a nice one while you're going into work. But she tells us how badly she wants a Continental Classic in AEW, and she tries her hand at English slang and plays "Come Dine with Me." And so there you go, folks. Don't see that one. Brock's Boulder is coming up for those of you that are on the independent scene in America. Independent over here coming up. Lincoln Spectre, someone who is very highly rated over here. And of course, come down to Ignite. May the 3rd for the end game. Come and see our champion make his first defense. Chris Aries one-on-one with Denzel Mack. We have Tommy Tanner facing Joe Lando. We have Danny Black versus Corey McRae versus Jaden Williams. And the returning Aluna takes on Violet Knight. And all the chaos because the Rebellion are unfortunately back in the building for Ignite. But Michael, 2 things. Number one, what is this new show coming up that we're going to be doing?
So I'm excited to be. It's all on socials. It was something that I did quite a while ago with a group of friends of mine. However, I've taken the reins to do it myself. It's the Turnbuckle Arms. So the concept is we are sat down in a pub, we have a drink, we have a conversation, and I basically ask you a question. That could be anything like, what is your favorite WrestleMania moment? Um, do you think weapons should be used in matches? Again, like we've done top 10, what are your dream matches? One that is very interesting that we may do on our first episode is TKO best for business? Now, I don't mean financially, I mean as a wrestling fan. Now, unfortunately, there has been, since TKO have taken over, the decline in what they want as a product has gone down. And me and my co-host Adam here will have a little bit of a chat and see what we think, and then ultimately I'll pass it out to the patrons, which are yourselves, the listeners and viewers, and see what you think. And again, like as Adam said, I'd like to get your input, because ultimately we are a wrestling community, and we want everyone to get involved. So I'm really excited to be bringing it back. Currently, it's on the socials, which I'll plug in a moment. But yeah, I'm happy and really, really pleased to be bringing it back in video form.
It will be great, and hopefully, sometimes if we can get David out of fitting a boiler to bring him on the show as well. That would be great to have him. But I'm looking forward to it. It's going to be something new, something different, like we always like to try and do on the Hitting the Turnbuckle podcast. But speaking of socials and podcasts, Michael, fire away. Where can people find you and everything else?
Right. Well, so first of all, I just want to plug some of the episodes and interviews that we've got on this channel today. We've got TN exclusives with Harley Hudson, Eddie Edwards, AJ Francis. We've got some fantastic interviews with Luke Menzies, formerly known as Ridge Holland, former TNA wrestler Crazy Steve. We've also got some fantastic independent show episodes on there. We've just recently had the Scotland showcase side of it premiere with Rosie Knight featuring yourself and Trixie. We've also got a new episode from the independent showcase from the alternative wrestling with Mosh Pit Screwball, Lucky Leona over in America. We've also had the privilege of speaking to Nikki Blackheart before her WWE tryout. And then we've got a new section which we've already been filling up, and we will be putting more onto it. And that's our independent showcase from Down Under, where myself and Adam and at times will be chatting to a variety of people that are working the Australian scene. We've got the likes of Robbie Thorpe on there already, commentators Andrew Ross and Chris Gale on there. And we'll be, as I said, we'll be adding more to that. So please check that lot out. And then, as always, we've got our top 10 lists. We've recently had the top 10 WrestleManias featuring Adam and our friends at I Love Wrestling podcast. And our last one, which featured me and Adam doing our top 10 US champions list. So yeah, there's so much on the channel to check out. There's so much coming. Make sure, as of recording, it hasn't come out yet, but please, please, please check out former AEW member and Jurassic Express Marco Stunt. The interview is coming soon, or it will be out already. It was an incredible one to watch and listen to. It's, yeah, please check that out. It will go out all on socials, including mine, which I'll let you know where you can find me. So X, Instagram, and Threads. You can find me at Wrestling with the Bear. X, Instagram, and Threads. You can also find me on Jonna's podcasting network, where I help share the best in wrestling, as well as podcasts like this one ourselves, and others out there that I just think need a little bit more reach. And yeah, so that's, as I said, that's for me to sign off. Please, please, please just check out all this fantastic stuff on the channel, as Adam's already said. And let's do this. Yeah.
Yeah, we'll do that again, and we'll be doing it again very, very soon. Because now we also would have seen, by the time this goes out, you would have seen that we opened the vault in wrestling recently. Myself and Michael done a Clash of the Champions. Now, I was thinking about the next episode to this, and I found it because during that very episode, they announced the teams for the 1988 Crockett Cup, which is synonymous with NWA. Synonymous. Well, it was a few. They've done a few NWA episodes. Obviously, went to WCW, and now NWA recently, 3 or 4 years ago, 4 or 5 years ago, sorry, brought it back. So, what better way for us to do the next episode, which will be the Crockett Cup in 1988? So we look forward to that. When it drops, just keep an eye. HTT Buckle, of course, everywhere. You can find me at the Real Adam Cuz on X or Adam from HTTB, either way. But you normally have to at it. So if you got to at it, it's the Real Adam Cuz. Find it Jolly the Bear as also as well on X. But Michael, it's been always a pleasure talking some wrestling with you. Thank you as ever, guys. We'll be back. Just look. It's because I'm not going to run into it. Just look at what's coming up on the show. There is review shows as well. Everything else, interviews. It's WrestleMania season at time of recording. I've got about another 12 to do this week. So just keep an eye everywhere. But until then, from Michael, I've been Adam, and you've been watching the Hitting the Turnbuckle podcast. Buckle down, stay safe, and goodbye, everybody.